So I'm going to give you a quick demo of the power of the Ngentix platform. You can see it says, what do you want to automate? Now, this is not the first time in, but I'm going to tell it that we need to order more units when we get below a certain threshold. So we need to create a purchase order whenever we're below a certain number of units, because our job is to make sure that we don't get low on inventory. And you'll see that the first thing it does is ask for clarification. It wants to know, like, where can I find out how much inventory you have? What system you use for that? And the second question it wants to know is, great, where do you create a new purchase order when I need to order more? So, okay, great. We use SAP for inventory, and purchase orders are created in Oracle. Good. Okay, good. It's got those. It understands that already because we've got those connectors. As you can see here, it already knows where those are at because we've already set that up. Just make sure to choose the right environments. Now it needs my SAP system login and password. Same thing with Oracle, because it's acting like me when it goes in. And so it doesn't want to give me access to data, to systems, to actions that I don't have access to. So it definitely has to check that. And now it's building up a workflow that it's going through, making sure it can connect to those systems. Good. Double check that workflow design. Yep, great. But now it needs to know, hey, what do you consider low inventory? What's the trigger there? And so let's say when we have less than 100 units. And then what's the quantity we need to order when we're low? And we'll say 500 units. It restated it for us. Great. It looks like it can do that no problem. Oh, but it wants to know how long it takes, how many people are involved, and how much time does it take. So it's just me, and it takes about 25 minutes. The reason it asked this is it wants to tell us what it costs us today to do this. It knows what I make because I told it before. And it's using that to say, this is how much money you're spending in your time every time you do this. But the price that we charge is not based on that. It's actually right below that, the cost per execution, because that's how we charge, is pay per success model. When it runs, when it does the job, that's when we get paid. And it wants you to know what your ROI is right up front. Here's the workflow design and steps. It ran a test successfully. Everything looks good, so I can turn it on. And I'm going to jump over to my dashboard because I've actually created this agent before and I don't want to do it again. But you can see here's a bunch of instances of it running, how successful it's been, when it just last ran, etc. So now we're going to do a different automation. This is after I've been in the system for a while. It already knows a lot about me, my job, the systems I have access to. And so when I asked it to do a claim adjustment, it had so much context around me, it didn't have to ask a bunch of clarifying questions. It just said, oh, okay, I think I know what that looks like. Now, one of the things that it'll create in here, and I keep skipping over it, but it'll actually, here it is. There's a compliance check right there. And that is because we have a policy that requires a human at a specific role to approve it. So in the flow, it's putting that, it says, oh, you have a policy that requires this. And so it puts that into place. I don't have to do anything to make it do that. So yeah, I'm just going to say, yes, go ahead. That all looks right. It doesn't really need that much information from me. Here, just give me the whole workflow again. That's funny that it's going through and building it out. And that's it. I mean, once it knows your role, it knows your access, it knows your systems, a lot of times it doesn't need to ask that much guidance anymore. It really can just build it. And so we can deploy it. We can take a look at how this thing's doing. And there we go. Now, an important piece that we don't show in the demo is what happens behind the scenes as we connect these different systems together. It's not just your policies that it's enforcing or your role-based access control that it's enforcing. It's also building out what we call a unified data model between systems so that it can look between however many systems you have and make sure the data needed, for example, in that first use case with the purchase order, it needed to know specific information about the company that were in two different systems, in the ERP from Oracle as well as from the SAP implementation. Data had to go between those, and that data does not match. It did that on the fly. It's called our unified data model, and ours is an adaptive unified data model. Now, that's not the only way you can create automations. Another is to start with an existing agent. And so this screen here is just showing some of the existing agents that are there. There are many, and it's constantly growing. Every time somebody in your team builds one, every time anybody in the ecosystem builds one and makes it publicly accessible to others, which I will be doing myself, they will be here in the marketplace where you can see them. You could just activate them, and you can also use them and start to tinker with them and adapt them to your needs, make them better, make them great, make them yours.